What is going on, Rhymestyle here, and today I bring you another Dragon Ball Z discussion, and today we have a pretty interesting one. So, Future Trunks is probably a lot of people's favorite character because many reasons. Number one, he's the first Super Saiyan that we see in the Dragon Ball Z series outside of Goku. Number two, he has a sword, which sword's a badass. Who doesn't like swords here? And number three, he enters the Dragon Ball Z series as a Super Saiyan with a sword and chops up Frieza, the most crazy villain in the entire series, period. He chops up Frieza in a couple seconds and just blows him up instantly. And because of that, because of his amazing entrance, he instantly captured a lot of our hearts and became a favorite character for many people. Outside of Super Saiyan Teen 2 Gohan, Future Trunks is probably my second favorite character, if not on the same level as Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan, just because it's badass. The reason why I like Gohan better is because Trunks kind of becomes not as cool later, although he does make up for it when he goes back to the future and blows up the androids. But the big question here is where the hell did he get a sword from? Stop, freeze, don't type that. I know exactly what you're about to type. You're all probably typing, well duh, Rhymestyle, he got a sword from Tapion. We all watched Wrath of Dragon. False. And this is the part that's probably going to blow a lot of people's minds because he actually did not get a sword from Tapion. It is impossible. Let's look at the timelines. So, we have two timelines here. One, we have the movie timeline, which I know is not canon from the first place. It's not canon. That's why technically Tapion does not even exist in the series. So, whoever gave him the sword could not have been Tapion because number one, he doesn't exist. But let's say theoretically the movie does exist and fit into the timeline. Let's look at the actual timeline and the events that happened in that movie. So in that movie, we know that Trunks in that movie is about, like, say maybe 8 to 9 years old. And it's late. He's like in the middle of his childhood essentially. He's pretty much a kid. And we see all the Z Warriors alive, and then Tapion shows up. Hirudegan shows up. We know how the movie goes, how the movie ends. And at the end of the movie, Tapion gives Trunks a sword. But there's one major flaw in this and why it does not fit the timeline that is the Dragon Ball Z timeline. And the fact is that everybody is alive and Trunks is a kid. Because we all know what actually happened in the main timeline. In the main timeline, the androids show up right about the time when Trunks was born and they murder everybody. And that's why it doesn't fit. So how are the Z Warriors alive if by the time Trunks was 8, everybody was dead? It could have never happened. It could have never happened. That's the problem there is it couldn't happen. Because in the actual timeline, Dragon Ball Z, Trunks is born. And right around the time he's born, the androids show up. We all know what happens next. All the Z Warriors fall. And then over the next 13 years of just absolute fear, Gohan essentially takes it upon himself to fight the androids during that timeline. At which point he meets up with Trunks again, begins training them. And then we all know how that story goes. But the fact that the two timelines just don't mix. The Hirudegan and Tapion events could not have happened in the actual Dragon Ball Z timeline. So that's another reason why it doesn't make sense. So now the question is who the hell gave him the sword? Well, we know one major detail around the sword, and that is it was given to him by someone very special. Well, in Trunks' timeline, that could be only one or two people. One, it's either his mom, or two, Gohan, because that was literally his only friend, and that's the only person that was alive at the time. He couldn't have met anybody else, because he was pretty much with his mom the whole time, hiding while the androids were basically wrecking the rest of the planet. Now, I know this is a terrible source to kind of use because the games don't ever really make any sense or go along with any timelines, or on top of that aren't canon at all most of the time. Well, they're kind of canon, but they're not really canon. In one of Dragon Ball Z games, actually Dragon Ball Z Super Sonic Warriors 2, Future Trunks, when he goes back in the past and talks to President Gohan, he tells President Gohan, hey, Future Gohan, aka you in the future, taught me my swordsmanship and how to fight, which we all knew that Trunks learned to fight from Gohan. So essentially Gohan in the future was the one who taught him to fight. So there's a good possibility that he got a sword from Gohan. Because, I mean, he's the one who taught him how to fight, and I figured if he taught him how to fight, you would kind of teach him how to use a weapon as well. Now, another reason why I want to say that it could be probably Gohan who gave it to him is because remember when Piccolo was training Gohan back in the Saiyan Saga? He gave him a sword. He gave him a sword. Essentially, that's basically his survival weapon at the time. And the only thing I could think of that kind of correlates to it is maybe when Future Gohan was training Trunks, part of his training is that he gave him a sword. Like, you know what? Here's a sword. I want you to learn how to use this weapon. You know, use it as an extension of your strength and abilities, and it will help you greatly in battle. So that actually makes a lot of sense when you look at that. Definitely could be Gohan. But then again, it could also be Bulma, because Bulma was the only person that Trunks really grew up around. But then again, that doesn't really make sense because why would she give him that sword? Why would she have that sword in the first place? Because you would think that that Bulma is more about technology and stuff like that. So I don't know if that actually fits. But then again, what you could also say is Bulma at some point gave him that sword maybe for his birthday, like, you know, maybe it belonged to her father or something, I don't know, some kind of family heirloom. She gave him that sword and he kept it, and then maybe Gohan taught him how to use it. That could be a doable theory. But now let's actually, you know, since we're talking about the sword, let's actually talk about the differences in swords, because the swords are two different swords too. The one compared in the Wrath of the Dragon compared to the one in the action movie. So let's look at the one in the movie. So in the movie, the sword, the Brave Sword, is actually an enchanted sword. It's supposed to be the sword that can cut through anything, and we've seen its power and use when it sliced Hirudegarn straight in half. Like, that's what it was designed for. It was supposed to be this powerful sword that could slice through anything like butter, as long as you're strong enough, I guess. And that's what made that sword so special in the Wrath of the Dragon. However, the sword that Gohan, or not Gohan, that Trunks had in the future / the present and / whatever, the Dragon Ball Z timeline, the main timeline, could not do that. If the sword was enchanted, if that was the same enchanted sword that Tapion gave to him, then Trunks should have easily sliced through Goku's finger when they did a little quick sparring session, and it definitely should have easily sliced through the androids. But what happened instead? That sword broke when he used it against the androids. So that clearly is not an enchanted sword. That's just some regular ass sword. So that's the other thing is the fact that both of these swords are two different swords. One's enchanted, one's a regular ass sword that just could not last against the androids, let alone a Saiyan finger. But in the future, in the Wrath of the Dragon, we clearly watched this sword slice through a freaking incredibly powerful super defense monster like it's nothing. Then again, we also saw it slice of Frieza, but I guess Frieza was probably just made up of, I don't know, weak skin or something. I don't know. Point is looking back at the summary, it's two different swords. One's enchanted, one's not. The timelines just don't make sense, and he did not get a sword from Tapion. Now I know a lot of you guys are probably still typing and commenting, well, no, Rhymestyle, he got it from Tapion. Tapion said. It just, you have to really think about it. It just does not make sense. It doesn't fit in the timeline. The two swords are different, and it couldn't have came from Tapion. It just couldn't have came from Tapion. Now you guys might argue that maybe it happened different in that timeline. Maybe, you know, he showed up, you know, when he was born. It still would make sense, because remember, the androids essentially showed up right when Trunks was born, and they murdered everybody. Nobody was there, and you can't say that. Well, maybe maybe Hirudegarn showed up when the androids were blowing stuff up, and then he gave him. That wouldn't make sense either. It just, why would Hirudegarn show up on Earth with the androids? Well, first of all, I wonder how that even go. Like, would Hirudegarn fight the androids? Would the androids kill Hirudegarn? I don't know. The point is Trunks in the future could not have gotten this sword from Tapion just because the timelines don't match and the swords are different and all sorts of plot holes that just don't make any sense. There's so many plot holes that don't make sense. See, here's the thing about the movies. A lot of movies, they just, well, for starters, they're not canon at all, number one. And number two, if you look at the events in all the movies, it's always some kind of major plot hole that makes it so it doesn't make sense. In fact, I think there's only one movie that actually perfectly fits timeline, and that is the BoJack movie. The BoJack movie, if the BoJack movie actually happened, it would happen exactly during that 7-year period right after Cell was defeated. Because that makes sense. It's like right when Cell dies, BoJack shows up. Like that could fit. But then again, he's still not canon because movies are just not considered part of the main Dragon Ball Z story. So yeah, what do you guys think about that? Now, I know it's probably a lot to throw on you guys. I probably just ruined childhoods and stuff by blowing your minds and telling you that, you know, the person who you think Trunks got sword from actually is not. Although it makes a whole lot more sense that Gohan gave him, because again, Gohan was like the closest person that Trunks had to him. It was his best friend, his mentor. He was everything to him. He said it himself, and it just makes sense that, you know, it's someone like Gohan who gave it to him, and not, you know, not someone like Tapion in the Wrath of the Dragon movie. So yeah. So what do you guys think about that? I know it's kind of ridiculous, and I'm pretty sure there's still so many of you guys who are commenting away saying no. Watch Wrath of the Dragon. Tapion gave him the sword, and he didn't. Couldn't have. Just didn't make any sense. So yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the floor over to you guys, because I would love to hear from you and see what you guys have to say about where Trunks from the future possibly got his sword from. Do you think it's Bulma? Do you think it's Gohan? I mean, there's really only two choices if you think about it. Maybe he could have met some random person that he saved and they gave him the sword, but then again, that would make sense either, because remember, the key here is somebody very special gave him that sword. Someone very special. So it's literally only two people. And it makes more sense for it to be Gohan just because Gohan trained him. If you look at the whole Piccolo Gohan thing, when Piccolo was being trained, when Piccolo trained Gohan, the Saiyan Saga, and gave him a sword, to me, it just seems like another version of that. Like Gohan was Piccolo to what Piccolo was to, Gohan was Trunks' Piccolo, that's what I meant to say. That one, yeah. Gohan was Trunks' Piccolo, and part of his training, he gave him that sword because he went through the same thing when he was a child. And that just makes the most sense. Although it could still be Bulma. You know, I don't know. There's a couple ways they could happen between both. You know, maybe like I said, maybe Bulma gave him the sword at some point and Trunks taught him how to use it. Nah, but then again, that's quite unlikely as well. Because again, I just don't see her having a sword. She's more about technology and stuff. So maybe if it was a laser gun, I could see that. But you know, whatever. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. I would love to hear from you guys. If you have any theories of your own, feel free to add it in the comment section below. And also, if you have your own theories of how Hirudegarn could have happened in the future timeline, let me know. Because every theory that I think of just doesn't make any sense. Like if Hirudegarn and Tapion showed up in the future timeline, it just, why would they show up in the first place? Number one, and two, how would that have played out? Because I feel like Hirudegarn would have been stronger than the androids. Because remember, check this out. Here's the reason why it's going to happen. On top of that, Hirudegarn was so powerful that a Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks and a Super Saiyan 3 Goku essentially were basically like going spar to spar. What's the right term? They were essentially on the same level. Essentially, I'm trying to say, before Goku ultimately ended up killing it. And clearly, the androids are no match for Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks or Super Saiyan 3 Goku. So Hirudegarn is way more powerful than the androids would have been. So if Hirudegarn showed up in the future, he would have easily destroyed the androids, easily. So that's why it doesn't make sense as well. Like it just doesn't fit. My brain is like blowing up right now. It's frying, literally, like thinking about this. So I think, you know what, I'm gonna end the video and just say Gohan gave it to him. It had to have been Gohan. Because again, going back to the whole Gohan getting trained by Piccolo thing and getting a sword, that to me is the thing that stands out the most, and that's why I believe future Gohan, who taught Trunks how to fight, how to use a sword, was the one who gave him the sword. Not the question is who? Whoa! What about this? What about in the future timeline? What if Hirudegarn took place earlier? Ooh, what about that? And then Tapion actually gave Gohan the sword. Ooh, that could probably be a possibility. Now again, I mean, the movies are canon, but if you are the type of person who likes to fit the movies into the Dragon Ball Z timeline, that probably makes the most sense. So in the future timeline, if Hirudegarn did happen, well, then again, that wouldn't make sense either, because how would they have defeated him? Unless they defeated him a different way. Yeah. And on top of that, that's right, the Tapion sword was enchanted, and what Gohan had was not enchanted. So, that doesn't make sense. You know what? I'm just gonna say this. Gohan got the sword from somewhere, gave it to Trunks, and the sword that was given to Trunks by Tapion was an enchanted sword. Two different swords, end of story. There. Like that. There. It's gonna end right there. Oh, God, I'm so confused right now. My brain is exploding right now. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick Dragon Ball Z discussion. Leave your own theories in the comment section below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you slice that like button in half using a Brave Sword. And leave your feedback and comments below. My name is Rhymestyle. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the comment section below. Bye!